It's by Quinton Fortrell, and it says 30% of Americans say virus was made in a lab, despite evidence to the contrary. Pew survey finds. So we see where this is going, right? Market Watch, we see where it's going. They're basically trying to say it's a conspiracy theory, and there's more evidence that it was actually came from the wet market rather than a lab. We get it. We know how this goes, right? We knows how these publications work. Right? I have my view also. It probably did come from a lab. All the evidence points of it coming from the lab. I've yet to see any evidence of it really coming from the wet market, by the way. Yeah, I've yet to see any evidence of it actually. So I guess the conspiracy theory guys are the ones who believe it came from a lab. I guess that's a side that the woke left isn't taking. So let's read and let's see where this goes. What's the difference between urban myth and fact supported by evidence? Not a lot, it seems. Nearly 3 in 10, 29% of Americans say the virus was created in a lab, according to a survey of 9,000 adults in the US conducted from March 10th to 16th by the Pew Research Center. However, a sizable minority have a conspiracy theory of how it started. Roughly one quarter of adults, 23%, say it's likely that the current strain was developed intentionally in a lab, while 6% said it was most likely accidentally made in a lab. You know, again, when you present with evidence, right, nothing's ever 100% sure, right? But the evidence seems to lean towards it came from a lab. It's just how did it escape from the lab? You know, again, I think a lot of these publications are either they haven't read enough, they're not well versed enough, or they're running cover for the CCP. Anyway, the data gets a little bit more interesting. Um, young U.S. adults were more likely than old people to believe it developed in a lab. That makes sense. The young people are more online, so they usually to get different viewpoints. Although, you know, if all adults are watching CNN, you know, they're only getting one viewpoint, especially when they're on the left side of the spectrum. Anyway, 1/3 of adults 18 to 29 said it was developed in a lab, 35%, versus 21% of adults 65 and older. Experts say it's likely emerged at a food market in Wuhan, China, despite the evidence on the contrary. By the way, you know, the all most evidence show that it well, okay, most evidence show it came from a bat, probably from a lab, because the bat was actually stored in a lab. Basically, the lab is up like it's like I don't know, like what, 2,000 miles away, 12,000 miles away. I can't remember the amount, but basically what they're claiming is you know, basically what they're trying to say is the bat flew down from a mountain. No, it didn't happen. Or somebody went up there just to start a wet market. No, it was and all evidence show that the bat actually was kept in one of the labs in Wuhan. So how they escaped, that's the thing. It's either it bit somebody, it urinated somebody, it some worker was testing somebody, and it, after 14 days it rolled out. So those are the three most accurate theories, not whatever the leftist mainstream media is pushing on you. Okay, you know, you always have to think options. You always have to think could happen. You know, never discount anything. You know, never just discard something on the wayside to be true or incorrect. Always think it might be true, or it might be incorrect. So let's see, it goes in the stats. Some 10,056 of the 23,608 U.S. fatalities were in New York State as of Monday. Almost 7,000 of those were in New York City. Nearly 189,000 of the 581 918 confirmed cases in the US were in New York State. The number of confirmed cases worldwide hit 2 million with 120k deaths. Also, beliefs about the virus spill along educational lines. Those with a high bachelor degree or more education are less likely than those with high school diploma and less education. 19% versus 35%. So basically 35% of high school diplomas or something equivalent think it came from a lab, while 90% think it did not, of those with a college education essentially or higher. It's a stark contrast. It's quite interesting, it's like, so one aspect, they could just be regurgitating the college professors, for example, while these people are probably reading stuff online. That's my analysis. Although if I was an insane person, and they will claim these people are Trump supporters and they have no education, just the way these leftards work, just some of the things they say about these people are just horrible, but whatever. A higher percentage of African American adults, 24%, and Hispanic adults, 29%, said they believe the virus was created in a lab, significantly more than Caucasians, 26%. A higher number of Republicans, 37%, and Democrats, 20%. It was like the lab one. Again, I think the Republicans. Okay, so a lot of the Republicans are located in middle America, which means they're high school education because they just the funds on there. While all the Democrats are usually located in a bigger cities because that's where they get throwing the funds and the education and the college quote unquote education. And also they're more probably likely to just watch CNN and that creep Mark Zuckerberg, and not Zuckerberg, oops, that's Facebook. Mark, I think is it Mark Zucker? I forget the Zucker guy. He's the guy who owns CNN or something like that. And then you got Oliver Darcy, and it's just, oh goodness. Anyway, such speculation is at the very least unhelpful, health of professionals say, and only serves to politicize a global public health emergency and distract from potential life-saving measures to contain. So I'm reading this that they just want to claim racism at this point. That's all it is. Racism, widespread misinformation. Racism. Again, this is what they're going to try to turn into. They're going to try to defend China in some way, because this is what these media types are about. It's 2020, and this is their this is what they try to push on the mass people. And think critically. Just think like, look, all the evidence points to it coming from a lab. Okay, it's what it is. It's the simplest explanation. Anyway, that's it. This just goes a little bit more in depth about the transmission of the virus. If anybody wants to take a look, I will post the article in the description. Even these things are up for debate, Anyway, that's that. So it's a good article about MarketWatch. Again, they're really professional, very well done. But they're liars. they're all liars, serving the wrong master. Alright guys, I hope you like, share, save, subscribe, thumbs up, do the usual, and be safe. Again, let this pass. Do what's right, just to not to entice the government to make this go on any longer than it has to. Alright guys, take care.